had some plants which have died.
Yeah.
And even the conversation yesterday I had with him was, he said, oh, it's not alive, it's dead. And so we talked about, well, why do you think it's dead? Like watering and not watering it into a pot and all sorts of things like that.
Welcome to Seekers Focus. Voices leading change.
Right, kia ora everyone. We are here with Eve.
Hello.
Hello, Eve. How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Happy New Year. I know you've just come back from a break.
Yes,
Yep.
nice little holiday.
Nice to have your parents over. It's nice to meet your parents. They're enjoying it?
They're loving it, yeah, only 1 week left, so it's a shame, but...
Yes, I certainly empathise with that. I remember living overseas and parents coming over and seeing them leave and things like that, and probably them as well leaving their children. And,
Yes.
But it's nice to have them over at such a nice period of time.
Yeah, nice weather, good surf.
Good surf.
Yeah.
Whereabouts in the UK are you from? Tell us.
So I'm actually Welsh originally.
Welsh,
yeah.
yes,
So
yes.
people say I'm English, I'm actually not. And then I moved down to Cornwall, so the southwest, when I was a teenager with the family. And yeah, that's now home.
Yeah, and how long have you been out in NZ now?
Probably combined about 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, pre-COVID?
Yes, I was here pre-COVID for a couple of years. And
Yep.
then went home to my studies, and
Yes.
then I've been back now for a little while.
And your studies?
Yes.
Talk to us about that.
So I headed home to do my postgrad in primary school, teaching, because that was where I wanted to, what I wanted to become. So I did that. Had a year, quite intense year of studying over there. All very much school-based program, which was amazing because I got a lot of experience.
Yes.
Working in schools full time whilst then getting my studies done. That was great. Come back over. And it sort of took a while to get things sorted, as it does, paperwork. It's a long process to get things transferred over.
Yes.
And then...
Which is wild, but
yes. Yeah, and costly.
Yeah, yes.
And then, went to sort of look around primary schools, sort of did a little bit of relieving here and there. Reached out to you guys, Reach Focus. Started relieving.
Yeah.
And sort of fell in love really with ECE.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I know for what's going on, like just geographically close to the Boulevard, they're all play-based.
Yes.
Like all three schools are play-based, which is quite fascinating. It's a fascinating shift. And that's only happened in the last few years. Like It's not like that's 20 years ingrained. And actually, I now feel that ECE is setting up primary trained teachers for the best of both worlds.
Yes.
You know, like when we went into Golden Sands and watched them, and I was actually embarrassed with how I used to teach compared to what they were doing today. I did some cool stuff, don't get me wrong, but man, what was going on in that space? And I actually, not that we want to see you go, but you can see how I believe having a base in ECE,
An experience.
yes, and understanding it would deeply aid your ability within a primary setting.
Yeah, definitely. And also seeing, that transition from where they've come from.
Yeah.
From if they have been going to early childhood to then going through to school. And
which
what that
many
looks
children
like.
do
Yes.
in Papamoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of children that are within ECE
Definitely.
Going into primary school.
Yeah.
So I think it's a big strength for people's CVs if I want to talk to that. But look, we're really privileged and grateful to finally win you over, and I know that the value you've been bringing in this space has been commented on by a lot of people, both our team, Rosie, parents, so it's cool to have your enthusiasm and energy in the space. So we're going to talk specifically about project learning and in regards to our friend. We won't name it. We'll just talk to that. So tell us about what it is, and we'll dig in a wee bit.
Yeah, so we just started sort of doing, I guess what you say, project-based learning with a particular child, and kind of thought, looking at his interests, so thinking what he was really interested in, and that was gardening. So kind of found that interest to start with, and then thought, well, how can we build on this? How can we turn this into a project as such? And sort of tried to foster that curiosity. exploration that he had around the garden.
So when we talk about the word project,
Yeah.
what is that? I know what it inspires in me, but to you, as the Kaiako, as the teacher and expert, what does the word project incite in your approach?
Yeah. Well, I'd say actually I sort of did a little reading the other day and actually looked at the difference between the word, I guess, project and project-based or inquiry-based learning.
Yes.
And they're actually very different.
Okay.
So as such, so you've got sort of, your project might be, say if you're thinking about, say, school, you might be working, you might already know your end goal. Mm-hmm. You say, if you're
Like building
something,
a shed.
yeah.
Yes.
So you know that's what I'm going to build, that's my project I'm working on.
Yep. Cool.
So, and then you're looking at steps to get there, doing your research and breaking it down. Whereas it sort of said that actually project-based learning is more child-led, which works well in this environment.
Yes.
And it's more, you're learning as you go and you don't really actually know the end result as such. You know, and that's okay.
Which is quite exciting.
Yeah.
Because it still captures the element of play too.
Yes.
Because play technically doesn't have an ending.
Exactly. So it's learning through their play and they're sort of finding out more things, and then it might take a different path, and that's okay.
So what skills are required by the educator in that space? What do you need to be able to do? Soft and hard skills, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'd say observing, noticing, seeing what their interests are, what they're saying, and asking lots of questions to try and open-ended questions to try and see what might spark something in their brain to think, oh, maybe we could do this.
Because it's actually a cool moment when you see that in a child's head. It's like, you know, the light bulb goes off and you're like, and it's an aha moment.
Yeah.
But actually, the skill set of the teacher is quite critical in that space to be able to, A, observe that or recognise it, and then B, be able to build the next path, right?
Yeah, that's it.
So let's use the gardening example. Mm-hmm. So what was the initial interest / curiosity around the project?
Well, we just started, we were looking at spring in general, so springtime.
Cool. Yep.
So we got the our little seeds sort of planted, started with that as a whole class. And then as time goes on, then you notice the children who are, you know, really into it. And sort of constantly asking, can we go into the garden? Can we do this? You know, they're wanting to go into that garden space because it's not always accessible. So, yeah, I found with this particular child, always wanting to go in there, see what's going on, wanting to help, wanting to water the garden, just wanting to look at it, to see what was happening.
Progress, right?
Yeah. And then sort of following that, then, you know, you get your produce. So thinking, let's go and gather our produce. So we're talking about that. We're talking about, you know, and you've got your, I guess, your literacy in there as well. You're talking about different words and the word, you know, harvesting and adding all that in there as well, which is really interesting, and they seem to love that.
So there's a deep experience combined with the ability to filter in academic, dare I say, academia, literacy, obviously. Numeracy, you think about, I plant one plant, but it might yield 10 tomatoes, or you know, I plant, you know, I remember doing this when I was young, like you put in potato seeds, and all of a sudden you pull out the thing and there's all these potatoes, right? It's a really powerful way of showing multiplication. So there are some real key concepts in there.
Yeah. And then also then going forward with that, it would be like we wanted to create a book for him. So
cool.
His own personal little you know, project book, or just his little guide there that he can basically do what he likes with it, but it's based around gardening. So, you know, just including pictures and his words. So we'll often get pictures stuck in, and then I'll often write down what he's saying, or, you know, anything we find out really we can put in there. And that was something he was really into. So very much wanting to take ownership over that, and I'll print pictures off. He wants to cut them out, stick them in, do everything himself, which is amazing. You know, write, draw. He wanted to include his friends. You know, saying, I want, you know, a picture of so in there with me, and sit with them as well, and get them to help him do that. So it's that collaboration and working with others.
And they're still controlling a lot of the learning there, though, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely.
I think having that control certainly has a deeper, or it fuels a deeper thirst to find out more.
Yeah.
Because actually, they're the ones holding the leash, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So with the child leading the learning in that project, when it comes to formulating a new outcome or a new shed,
Yeah.
as such, what does that discussion look like?
I suppose it would be more like, again, going back to the start, I suppose, and looking at maybe recognising a new interest or a new question maybe has emerged from the child about something.
So when we talk about a new question emerging, so just walk us through what that, just in terms of facilitating that conversation to potentially pique that interest or pull out that new question. What would that look like in a just an action?
Okay, so I guess if you're outside and the children are looking at the sky and you might be talking about the clouds or something, you might, as a teacher, start asking those questions like, I wonder what clouds are, or what they're made of, and just trying to help spark that curiosity further. And then that might lead to them having more questions. And then you might think, well, let's go find out. Let's go do some research or continue this on to see what we can discover, what we can learn about.
And it's a real interesting line because you want to pique curiosity, but you can kill it quite quickly by giving the actual answer.
Yeah, definitely. So it's the way you word things. And it's quite hard because you're wanting to probably...
Yeah, the deciduous clouds, Yeah,
maybe. Yeah. But it's very much sort of taking that step back and getting them to try and learn for themselves and lead their own learning. And they might come up with some ideas, and they probably will come up with some ideas of ways they could find it out or what they could then do around that. Whether that's, let's draw some clouds. They might think, I'm going to draw some clouds. Or take the clipboard outside and have a look and draw what they can see, or let's get the paints involved, or they might come up with their own ideas.
So just dropping back into that particular child, and so where are you at in the project?
So I guess we're kind of towards the end. We've now got some corn that's coming quite well.
Yes.
So we are probably going to harvest that soon, and then with that, it'd be nice to keep that garden going in general. So maybe then stepping back and saying, well, what do we need to do now? We need to start from the start and get those seeds going. Might be some discussions around sort of maybe planting different things because it's a different time of the year and things like that. And maybe reflecting on it. So we've definitely had some plants which have died. And even the conversation yesterday I had with him was, he said, it's not alive, it's dead. And we were sort of talking about, well, why do you think it's dead? And talking about the watering and not watering, it's been too hot and all sorts of things like that. So I guess reflecting on that and learning from that experience might make maybe the next time round might do a better job of keeping the garden alive.
The plants alive. What do you think? What do you think project learning looks like in a group setting? Because you're talking about an individual here.
Yeah.
Well, what are the benefits of the project learning in a group situation?
I suppose it would be that communication and that working with each other. Like having tasks, I suppose, handed out. They might have one particular child who wants to sort of lead that learning, so might become the leader, or they might have different roles within that, which will help with their leadership skills. Or
it's interesting because you'll get a blend of ages too.
Yes,
potentially.
Definitely, yeah.
Like you could have a 3-and-a-bit-year-old and a 5-year-old. That provides a pretty unique situation because to really grow cognitively for a 3-year-old and to grow a leadership skill or a participation skill in a 5-year-old it provides a pretty dynamic setting for not just learning but actually a whole range of skills, isn't it? Do you think with this individual that we're talking to, I'm just thinking through like that gardening phase, what when do you recognise that the curiosity has gone and is now in a slump?
I'd say probably just through not asking. For me, it would be like not asking to go to that garden, not checking up on it, not watching over it. And I definitely think we actually went through, I have been away, but went through a phase there where there wasn't much sort of asking, can we go in the garden? And then it might just suddenly one day think he's noticed something, he's looked over the fence and gone, I can see something else has grown.
Some growth, yeah.
And then suddenly it sparks that excitement
Yes.
to want to get back into it again. But I think it's recognisable because it's just they're not asking, not asking to go see it or not asking to want to do it. As much.
When do you think it bridges over into becoming a true passion from a project? Like for me personally, you love the water. So someone exposed you to the water. I'm guessing maybe your parents.
Yeah.
When does it shift in a child's mind? And just in your interpretations, when do you think it shifts from being project to real passion?
I think it can shift to being a real passion, but I also think it can also, even as an adult speaking, your passions and your love for things can also dip a little bit. Like for me, surfing's a passion, but definitely have months where I'm probably not in there as much or doing it as much. And it's still a passion, but doesn't mean you're having to do it every day all the time.
The only reason I bring it up, which is quite fascinating to me, is because we've been at the skate park with my kids, and then I was out swimming yesterday morning, right? And it's like 6 a.m. in the morning. I swim most mornings, but pretty much every morning. And here's 30 surfers out at 6 a.m. in the morning, and I said to Sam and them, I was like, they're so passionate about it. They're so passionate about, I watched these guys on skateboards while Marla and Frankie were zooming around on their scooters. I watched these guys for an hour and a half. They're so passionate. They fall off, they get up, they fall off, they get up. They cheer each other on. They collectively, there's a group cheering people on. I watched yesterday, there was this kid with blonde hair who was just ripping up on the waves. He was phenomenal to watch. Out and out, the best surfer I could see out there. Yeah. But people cheering and it was pretty crazy. It's gone from I'm trying to figure out and I'm understand to now it's man, this really fires me up. Yeah. Because that's what we want kids to feel, right?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
We want them to feel actually, I love doing this.
Yeah.
And I think project-based probably really inspires the opportunity or the higher probability of building into a passion, really, doesn't it? Yeah. Especially if you're around people that are very good at it.
Yes.
Because you probably go and see, we could watch any surfer, because I would like to surf, and we've kind of talking through it. I watch any surfer and that inspires me, right? I'm like, cool, I can do that. And then I see that kid and I'm like, whoa, that would be so awesome to do that. Being around people that are better, I think continues to fuel that absolutely. Passion. And that's the beauty of being with the teacher in the project, is we're going to assume that the teacher's going to have more general knowledge on and the ability to go and find out more. That's what really feeds the passion, right?
Definitely. Well, even with the gardening, I do like to garden at home. So,
yes.
For me, it's actually I can quite happily go and potter in the garden for a few hours on a Sunday. So I could happily do the same here. So to see the children watch me do that, think, I want to get involved in that. Eve looks like she's enjoying that, pottering around in the sun. So I'll go and join in too and see what she's up to. And even then, thinking about sort of whānau and family at home, whether that happens at home. And I think if it happens in both places, then
you've got a real chance.
You have got a real chance
of consolidating.
Definitely.
And even in the community, we've got have you guys been down to the community garden down here?
Yeah.
We've got those around. And actually we're very lucky here in Papamore. There's a lot of those. There's a really cool one down in Hartford Ave. It's amazing. It's really amazing, a community garden. And so we have got that, even though we're by the beach, we have got those opportunities to go and dig into some of that stuff too. We are fortunate because I think if whatever project we decide to dig into, there is lots of amenity to go and see someone better.
Definitely.
Or more expertise
Yeah.
in that space. You know, like Marshall's Animal Farm's a good example.
Yes.
You know, them rearing animals. You go out there in spring, there's young guinea pigs and lambs and all sorts of things, and seeing them feed them and look after them and things. And it does continue to pique interest.
Seeing it from different sources, isn't it? You know,
Yes.
It's not just say the internet. We don't just need to go to the internet
Yes.
to find out information for these projects.
Yes.
You know, we can go to lots of different sources.
Yes.
And it's sort of trying to teach the children that as well. That there's open your eyes. It's all around us.
Yes. Yes.
And we don't have to just be.
The opportunities are all around us.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. So let's try and get involved in them. Those opportunities to help
Yeah.
us to grow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a I appreciate that. I really appreciate your passion in that space. And for this particular student, I know that building that bridge for him has been quite powerful. Obviously, Mum is part of our team at Papamoa Beach, and I remember the response to the reel.
Definitely.
She was just so welled up in it, because you want your children to live in passion, right? You want them
definitely.
to. So we really appreciate you doing that. What do you think's next?
I think we're going to look at looking at, like you say, more providing it for the rest of the class, really, and looking at where we can question the children or observe and their interests. And I've already sort of sat down with the group and said, it's the start of the new year. What would you like to learn more about this year, or what would you like to do more of this year? So I guess using that new year as well to help with that.
Yes.
And looking at, I'd love to have a project wall, maybe, or something like that, or a way of displaying their work and their ideas.
Yes.
We have got our project books that we've been doing, a lot of our floor books.
Yes.
So,
which are cool. I know, because you've had them displayed, and it's nice for me to walk in and pick them up, and it's very accessible to see what children are up to outside of Story Park, but as a collective.
Yeah.
Yeah, a project wall's cool, right?
Yeah.
What would be your intent there? What are you trying to do for whānau first?
Yeah, definitely. I'd probably say even moving. I know we've got Story Park. We've got all that, but it's not the main.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's the.
It's nice to see something tangible, way.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Coming in and actually looking around, spending more time in the classroom.
Yes.
For children to have those discussions. With
Yes.
Even we've had Christmas displays and seeing their artwork or pictures of them. Children love to bring their families in.
They do, yeah.
Say, look what I do. That's my artwork up there. So that's great having them in and getting them involved.
Yeah, I wonder what that looks like. And I just think of, like, is it a wall or is it a table or what is it?
I don't know.
I think about, we went to Auckland Museum, took the kids up there just recently. We actually love going to the Auckland Museum, but I remember when I went to the London Museum of Natural History.
Yeah, brilliant.
Spent 2 days there.
Yeah.
And just, like the dinosaurs and like the Darwin area, it was mind-blowing for me to see such history.
Yeah.
And how it was displayed actually is more important, because what's the use of it just being in books and down the bottom of a cellar, where really it's out, accessible, there, tangible. That is no different for a child and their family than it is for an adult doing what I was doing, going to the museum. So I think there's certainly some merit in looking at something that kids can walk in and be pumped up about every day to show their families. Because one strength of ECE is that their parents need to walk the children into the class every day.
Yeah.
See, in primary, you just drop them to the gate.
Yeah.
They're gone, We're here, you got to walk them in.
Yeah.
And you got to come and physically pick them up as well.
Yes.
So that lends itself to that. Yeah, maybe it's something. Yeah,
A table, or even just a spot to be able to put something they're working on to the side.
it needs to be protected.
And
it
then
needs
they
to
can
be
come back to it.
Yes.
Because this project-based learning is not necessarily doesn't have to have an ending. It might.
Well, I walked into Papamoa Beach yesterday, and there was a big rocket being built from cereal boxes, and it just had a big sign on it: "Do not touch." Touch spelled TOC, I think. I don't know. I think it might have been Sissy. I don't know. Someone had written "Do not touch," and it's so beautiful because actually we want it to end when they want it to end.
Yes.
And as adults, we're similar, right? I think the parallels are quite prevalent when we think through that. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's a very important part to this project base is actually giving space for them to see the completed work. And it's food for thought.
Definitely.
Food for thought. Well, Eve, I appreciate all that you're doing. I look forward to chatting again about some of the other projects. I think just going in with the garden, you know, tamariki is a natural progression because I know that's a harvest, it's a time of harvest. So that's a real cool space. So we look forward to that. But yeah, we appreciate your energy in this space. Thank you, Eve.
Right.